Pictures and videos of Russian T-54 tanks being transported on rail have started circulating on the internet. So what is going on with these tanks? Will they be sent to Ukraine? These tanks are apparently being transported from Arseniev, which is in the very far east of Russia. This town is a home of the 1295th Central Base of Repairs and Storage of Tanks. This facility is used as storage for tanks as well as for their refurbishment and repairs, and it appears to have had some T-55 and T-54 tanks in storage not too long ago as well. Now, is this definitive proof that these tanks are going to Ukraine? Well, not really, but it is very likely. These tanks seem to be in decent condition, although not perfect, especially if we look at the turrets. We can see some rust and general showing of age. But why would they be transporting these tanks in seemingly okay condition out of repair facilities if they are not planning to send them to war? It is possible that these tanks will be, just like the T-62 tanks, modernized, or rather upgraded with explosive reactive armor and maybe even thermals, like the T-62s. It is also possible that they might use them as bases for some deeper modernization, which is not likely but still a possibility. Perhaps they will see them mount different guns like the 125mm gun used on their modern main battle tanks. And this is actually possible. We know this because it has been done before on the T-55M6. They can also use these tanks to make some more abominations. Maybe something similar to the Algerian Terminator, where Algerians mounted the Berejok turrets on T-62 hulls. But I don't think it's likely that something like that will happen. If they are indeed planning to send those to Ukraine, I expect them to just mount the ERA on those tanks and maybe equip them with some cheap thermal sight and call it a day. If they do any changes to them at all, that is. Now, does this mean Russia is finally running out of tanks? No, it doesn't. Everyone was saying that when T-62s were brought out, and the story hasn't changed much since then. Sure, they are losing tanks in big quantities, but if they can bring out rusted 60 to 70 year old tanks and put them into action, they can do the same with all those T-72s. They are probably trying to preserve more modern tanks as much as possible for future upgrades. And let's be honest, T-55 and T-62 are not much different. Both are very comparable tanks that also share a lot of common parts. And if upgraded in the same way, performance-wise they would be pretty comparable, so this is nothing worse. The problem could actually be with the ammunition stockpile. Russia had T-62 tanks in reserve and because of that kept a decent amount of ammunition stockpiled for their use. But I'm not sure how much they kept for the T-54 tanks, since those have been completely removed from both service and reserve like 20 years ago. They were kept in storage, evidently, but I doubt they will have as much ammunition for them as they do for T-62s, so perhaps, if we do end up seeing them in Ukraine, it will be in much lower numbers than T-62s, at least for some time. Not to mention that introducing a completely new caliber now will impose bigger strain on the logistics. But now I will say again, this is not definitive proof that these tanks are being sent to Ukraine. It is the most likely scenario, but we should wait a bit and see if that is actually the case. After all, we have seen T-14s being transported on rail not too long ago, and it also made some people jump to the conclusion that they are being sent to Ukraine. That would be all. If you like my content, you can support me on Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a nice day.